I was dead, huh? Well, you thought wrong. That blast of yours was quite the powerhouse, if I do say so myself. But it wasn't enough to take me out. No. Let's take a trip down good old memory lane. It's like it was yesterday that you were just barely away on that eShot bag, looking to take me out with your friendship and your powers. It was just, oh, so dreadful.
Who's this guy?
Annoying.
I mean, MrMxy did blast him last time.
Would you have preferred to die?
Come on everybody, don't fight. We still have a chance.
He's right. We still have one last hope, and his name ends with a Y.
We know who he is, no.
I first played Wii on September 16, 2008, at around 5 PM local time, at a cousin's house. I know this because I recently got my hands on my cousin's worn-out old Wii, and the first thing I did was look up the stats on Brawl, which apparently they never played again after that day in 2008, probably because of how devastatingly good I was with Link. Brawl was the only game we had that day, so it's a good thing it happened to come with all those NES and SNES game demos for all of 90 seconds or whatever. I'm pretty sure we played all the demos, because at the time, the fact that you could play games from older Nintendo consoles was actually the most fascinating part of the Wii to me. Iwata said we could play any Nintendo game on the Revolution, sorry, Wii. Yes, any Nintendo game. In fact, out of all the games on Wii at the time, the one I most desperately wanted to play was the one that looked like a NES game, Mega Man 9. The second time I played Wii was at some point in 2008 or 2009, when another relative bought a used one and asked me to try it out to make sure he didn't get ripped off. I brought it to a friend's house and we stayed up all night playing through Mega Man 9 and Mario Kart Wii, which I don't remember being that hyped about because it just looked like Double Dash with blurrier graphics and gimmickier controls. But, we actually had a ton of fun playing all the cups with tilt controls, which is the way you're supposed to play this game. Anyway, that Wii I was testing was a big hit with the family. Like every other family in the world, there was a time when we were all moving our arms around like idiots while playing Wii Sports and pretending to be cool and talented with those chunks of plastic shaped like guitars that would end up cluttering everyone's closets. But personally, all I wanted to do was homebrew that Wii and unlock its full potential. It was time to get my own dem Wii. I finally got my own dem Wii in 2010, while visiting the US with family. I convinced my siblings to chip in and we bought a pre-owned one with Mario Kart Wii for like $100 at GameStop. Back when you could walk into any GameStop and find a deal like that instead of being trampled to death by Pokemon card scalpers. As a devoted retro gamer who ranted about the evils of modern gaming, with its confounding controllers and lobbies full of children shouting N-words, at first I wasn't planning to play the game online much or at all. But then I did, and something I wasn't expecting happened. I liked it. I actually got really into Mario Kart Wii's Online, which was my first experience with online gaming outside of struggling with ZSNES netplay. Even with all the funkies and hackers, I found it a lot of fun and might have gotten slightly addicted to racing folks with names like Rosalina is my waifu and the dreaded dad. And speaking of hacking, since games were so stupidly overpriced here in South America and we didn't buy more while in the US, I had to acquire them via other means. I played games like Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Donkey Kong Country Returns and Kirby's Return to Dreamland via good ol' USB loader GX, since later on I ended up paying for their Switch remakes, which means I'm legally in the clear now, right? Right? The only game for which I remember forking over actual cash was Skyward Sword, which I got on launch day because Zelda games had never, and could never, be anything less than completely amazing. It was fine. Skyward may have been underwhelming, but that was okay, because it gave me more time for another huge time sink of a game. I was never into RPGs, but when I saw the trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles I was fascinated by the fact that you could actually go to all those crazy and distant locations they were showing. I sank 80 hours into that game despite not even bothering with the side quests or the crafting, because the map was just that big and fun to explore. Can you imagine if they made a Zelda game like that? And then there was the wild and wonderful world of WiiWare. At first, I was only interested in the Wii shop because of the virtual console and stuff like Mega Man 9 and 10, but thanks to WiiWare, my horizons broadened and I got really into indie games. And since I had a home-brewed Wii, I also got to try some incredible games like Pole's Big Adventure, which never made it outside Japan for some reason. Okay, I guess I can see the reason. Meanwhile, at some point a friend got a Wii 2 and a bunch of third-party controllers of varying quality and started hosting game nights. We spent many hours, well, trying to set up third-party controllers, but also having fun and infuriating each other on games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the Mario parties, and especially WarioWare Smooth Moves, which is the ideal game to play when at least 50% of the people in your game night are intoxicated. By the time the Wii U was announced, my faith in modern gaming had been reignited thanks to the Wii and I decided to get it on day one. Plus, I actually had a job and money by then, so that helped. I put the Wii aside, lured away by its successor's pristine HD graphics but never fully left it behind, especially once I found out MrMxy was a thing. They say the Wii was full of shitty shovelware games, and I guess it was. But it also had a shitload of cool games, so much so that there are still tons I wanna play but haven't gotten around to. Not to mention the ones I did start and haven't finished. One day, La Milana. One day.
So, I get you all have your different qualities, but what's yours?
Excuse me?
Do I have to spell it out? What sets you apart from the rest of your friends? That red little snappable stick is the leader, and that bluish dude's his sidekick.
Hey,
Those two chaps over there are British.
I'm British?
We don't even say chaps.
So where does that leave little old you? The nerd? Seems lame, considering you're all nerds, in some way, shape, or form.
Did you just forget I exist?
See? I told you.
Sweet. What do we do with these?
Hey, you asked what makes me unique, right?
Kita, yay! Yeah, that's soon? Oh no! You hate me! This is not fair!
Sutromun!
Ciusimta cum alo? Alo!
We should probably escape.
Well, split up it is.
If death counts, then we have a way out.
No.
You guys trust me, right? Time's up. I'll take that as a yes.
Alright, so what's the plan now?
And please make it quick. So, what now?
Honestly, I don't know myself.
Maybe we can ramble about the Wii to kill time?
I'd so be down
Why
for
not?
that.
The Wii was a cornerstone of my childhood, specifically starting around 2010. Up until that point, my only experience of gaming was with my old PlayStation 2, and an assortment of hand-me-down games from my older siblings. Naturally, I'd heard stories of the fabled Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl from my classmates in elementary school, though I'd never actually thought I'd get to play them, at least until Christmas 2010. Opening up that box to see a beautiful shiny jet black Wii was one of the best things my eyes had ever seen, and you know I immediately got to playing with my brother. Thus began a lifetime's worth of memories. Our Wii actually came bundled with both Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, which were on the same disc. All you had to do was choose which game you wanted to play from a main menu. Me and my brother grew absolutely obsessed with Resort, particularly with the sword fighting and airplane games. I can't remember how often I would deliberately dive my plane directly into the Woohoo Island volcano, howling with laughter as my character parachuted into the magma. Looking back, I was a tad psychotic. Sword playing was also hilarious for different reasons, as I would face off against my similarly minded brother. We'd both start the match and immediately swing our Wii remotes as fast as we could, resulting in one of our immediate demises. Unfortunately, as we started to take it seriously, he outclassed me greatly in the art of flailing our remotes around. Thankfully, I found solace in an incredible sword fighting mode called Showdown, a mode where you charge against an army of Miis who possess either completely mediocre or extremely overwhelming skill in the art of the blade. Showdown was the ultimate test of reflexes and endurance. I would genuinely get sweaty physically as I batted Miis around left and right, and it took me forever to finish it. It gave me a lot to remember, especially the strangely gripping music. For Wii Sports music, it really gets you going. Beyond Wii Sports, I mostly explored the Wii Shop channel for interesting games, ranging from familiar titles to downright absurd ones. One of the first ones I tried was Pokemon Rumble, which, funnily enough, was also my first Pokemon game. I also got Super Smash Bros. 64, a certified classic that gave me many hours of entertainment. Punting Yoshi in the air as Samus or detonating tons of bombs in training mode just to hear the absolutely horrible noise it made gave me a dangerous amount of dopamine. Smash 64 also introduced me to tons of new characters like the aforementioned Samus, who absolutely shocked me by being a woman. A stereotype was broken that day for me. It also introduced me to Link and the Zelda franchise as a whole, which I'm always grateful for. Many hours would not have been spent in Twilight Princess otherwise. Smash aside, I also tried my hand at some certified oddities. Something in the shop called Chick Chick Boom was a particular one that involved drawing fun weapons to throw over the fence at your opponent with the goal of killing your enemy's chickens, I think. The game was really wacky for some reason, but I spent a while fighting the harder bones while I was bored. And naturally, I can't forget the WiiWare classic Jet Rocket. No, not Jet Rocket, the 1970 arcade game. Jet Rocket was a fun little platformer that felt more like a forgotten PS2 game than something made natively on the Wii. Regardless, it was a lot of fun to battle robots and fly around the level finding collectibles. Of course, the first major boss ended up scaring me so much back then that I never ended up seeing the rest of the game. Though apparently the game got a sequel on 3DS. One day I should probably finish both for the first time and put my shame to the end. And to wrap things up, I want to mention my personal all-time favorite game on the Wii. Surprisingly, it wasn't Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but rather a weird Wii Sports Resort quote-unquote rip-off called Go Vacation. Imagine, if you will, Wii Sports Resort if you had to actually physically drive to each minigame rather than just selecting it from a menu. Now, also imagine getting genuinely distracted along the way to each minigame by side quests and oddities, like a snowboarder that got stuck in the snow, or a hidden cave filled with crystals for no reason. That's Go Vacation, and I sunk more hours into that than I think I have any other game. You had unlockable character outfits, customizable vehicles, even a personalized dog that could follow you around. Not to mention the sheer amount of minigames that were present, ranging water skiing, freediving, skydiving, snowboarding, and even a sort of Just Dance parody that required you to move your remote to the song. Add an in-depth trick system to vehicles and rollerblades, skateboards, and cool secrets to unlock, and you've got the perfect time sync for anyone and everything. I remember my favorite pastime being my attempts to push NPC vehicles off a tall bridge and into the river below. Again, my psychotic behavior at work. Was it a perfect game? Absolutely not. The frame rate on the Wii was atrocious, and many of the minigames had terrible controls that simply weren't fun. The sheer amount of them, of course, made up for this. You could also build a house for some reason. I built a haunted mansion filled with ghosts that blocked you from entering. Truly a riveting experience. I think it's safe to say that the Wii was an absolute staple of my growing years and shaped my interests today. Even with its technical flaws, like low frame rates and occasional terrifying crashes, it rounded out to be a solid console, the likes of which may never be produced again. I could go on and on about the games I found on there, like Lego Star Wars, the Wipeout games, or The Force Unleashed. And unfortunately, I don't have 20 plus hours to talk about it. Seriously, who greenlit that Wii crash noise? That scared me so badly back in the day.
Okay, where do I start? When I got it was probably like back in 2010. I would have been probably 2 at the time, so like I don't think I remember much, but I do have a pretty faint memory of how everything went. So I think it was my sister's birthday. She got the console from like a relative or whatever, and like everyone was at the table. She was just opening up presents, and I guess it just came to the Wii. She opened that. Ooh, brand new console. We didn't have any home consoles beforehand, so this was like our first home console at home. So it was a pretty big thing. One of my main memories around then was specifically when my brother opened up the Mario Kart Wii Wheel bundle with the game, and that one just stuck with me because I was there just watching. I think it was just me and him in the room with the Wii. In terms of the games, we started off with Mario Kart Wii. The console did come as a bundle with Wii Sports plus Wii Sports Resort, specifically the disc that has like both the games in one. We did get a bundle that came with Wii Fit Plus and the balance board. We got a black one, but we played that a lot. And it was mainly me and my sister who played it, managing our weight. I was very, very underweight when I was like a kid, so it would always just put me as underweight, while my sister was just healthy weight all the time. I guess the funny thing is, if you like stand on the balance board weird or awkwardly or whatever, just puts you as obese. Just isn't like, oh, you're too fat. Channels were good. Like if I wasn't playing a game, then you'd probably just go on the channel to just spend time or whatever. Photo channel, that's where it was. Just having photos. Probably my mom's phone. It had an SD card in it from what I know, and they would take photos on that phone, put it onto the Wii, then we'll be able to see the photos. Man, you could just do whatever. Other channel wise, Today and Tomorrow channel, use that all the time. We don't really believe in horoscopes, but it was still fun to use. Funny enough, it's European and Japanese exclusive. Don't know why the US didn't get that, but like, were you missing out? I don't know. It was fun trying to predict what we were gonna have for lunch, even if it did mention pork. We kind of pork. YouTube, one of the first times we were able to watch sort of YouTube content on the TV, since I don't really think smart TVs were that much of a thing. I still didn't even have a smart TV technically, but that was one of the first ways to like watch content from YouTube on a big screen, and that was crazy to us. Even if it was 480p, but we still thought that was HD back then. I could also mention demos. Demos were a pretty big thing if you were poor. We weren't allowed to use any like cards, so we were stuck with demos. They honestly did a pretty good job. We saw a lot of good content, specifically the WiiWare stuff. The 2 main games I remember like practically buying at launch, from what I know, was specifically Sonic Colors and I think Epic Mickey. I don't know how much they were, but I remember my older brother being like proper excited because obviously they were brand new games. Sonic Colors is still one of my favorite Sonic games. I mean, it's one of them I've actually finished. I don't think I've finished that many Sonic games, but Epic Mickey was also pretty good. You paint things and then you de-paint things. That's the best I could describe it. Obviously Mario Kart Wii, one of my favorite games of all time, like just ever. I don't know what's with that game. I have so much like hours on it. Like compared to my like playtime on practically any other console, I would consider it a bit concerning for someone who just doesn't really sit and play games for that long. I forgot to mention Wii Sports plus Wii Sports Resort. That game, obviously I also remember playing a lot. That was a way more easier game to play like multiplayer because you could just take turns. I played basketball all the time. And table tennis. Having obviously a lot of family members who also just had the Wii back then, going to their houses and playing the Wii with them was also just a big thing for me as well. Everyone having a blast, like playing obviously Wii Sports, instant classic, even like the rubbish third-party games. I think one of my cousins had Game Party, which was obviously pretty bad, but would still have just fun playing the hell out of it. Even when like the family's meant to be doing something during like the gatherings and whatnot. With Homebrew, I've known about its like existence since I'll say around 2014, 2015. I remember watching video on YouTube. It's from that Mr. Bean guy. It was an odd video. I think it was for like being able to change characters mid-race, but he was on CTGP and I was like, what is it? What, in the Mario Kart? The custom tracks looked awesome, there was custom music. It was crazy to me back then because I was obviously just playing base vanilla Mario Kart, and you know, I wanted to get that. First, I didn't have a laptop for quite a long time. My sister got a laptop 2015, but that was hers. We weren't able to use it. I was able to start using a laptop by like 2018, 2019, and still then I didn't have an SD card. Then I was able to just find an SD card randomly or something, and then I was able to mod the Wii in 2020. CTGP, obviously the first thing I did once I got homebrew on the console was just get CTGP. Custom tracks, you know, there's pretty good custom tracks from the old games, even some from the newer games, like the ones after Mario Kart Wii, and shout out to Incendia Castle, best course. Music, that's a good Wii music mod. You can do the funny Undertale song. I think overall the Wii would still just have that spot in my heart. Even to this day, with the new stuff coming out, especially the Switch 2 and all that, it's always just stuck with me. But yeah, I love the console so much, and it is very, very peak.
I love this console. Come on, you had to know that by now. Anyways, I don't exactly remember when we got this white brick, but given it was a model as a put boot me as boot 2, which means basically it's like a really early model, yeah, we probably got it like 2006 maybe. I cannot remember, but all I remember is that my dad brought it home one day and I was like 5 or something, so you know, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And it was also bundled with Wii Sports because of course it was pretty much history from there. But I was still very young at the time, so I didn't really do much with the Wii aside from play Wii Sports, but it was really only ever used when the entire family wanted to play, you know, Wii Sports together. I'm saying Wii Sports a lot, but yeah, that was fun by me. Again, it entertained me. And then one fateful day, it happened. We play. I fucking love this game. You have no idea how many hours of my life were wasted on just like fucking pose me and fishing. Nothing the latter, because I remember basically having every record on the local leaderboard and challenging everyone in this minigame and beating them. Then my brother won once and it was all. Either way, Wii Play was another great game for the system, and sure, it's as simple as Wii Sports, but when the games were fun with the family and replayable, who really cares? And it helps that Wii Play was bundled with Wii Remote for like $50, and when like Wii Remotes under themselves were like $40, it was like, yeah, no shit, get the game and the Wii Remote. And because, you know, my mom had like me and my brother, it's like, yeah, get it. But beyond that, there was nothing that really changed for a while. I remember discovering the Wii Shop channel and checking out pretty much anything that was in there, though I don't really remember anything beyond the Pokemon Rumble demo and how that big was like a big waste of time, and also like shit like YouTube and Netflix. Remember when that was on the Wii? And then it happened. Yeah. So while browsing the store not meant at all for video games, I spotted a copy of Rayman Origins for the Wii for $10, so I had to get it. Now, my parents didn't usually get us new games, consoles, whatever until like a holiday or like our birthdays, so I just thought it was a hopeless battle. I somehow won the said battle. Rayman Origins is a game I remember playing at a friend's house on his Xbox 360, and I was absolutely in love with it. Like, so seeing a version on the Wii, a console I owned, meant that I had to get my hands on it and play it for hours and hours on end. I got pretty close to finishing the game and then I never picked it back up. Damn. Well, aside from that car crash, there are two other games that I distinctly remember from my younger days. First being Club Penguin and Mario Party 9. Okay, well, this one tends to get shoved aside because it introduced the whole everyone is in the car formula, and yeah, I get why people don't like that, but that didn't really mean anything to me when the boards were still fun and the minigames were even more fun, and it was just, you know, a great time with friends. Granted, I do think like the fact you don't get to play minigames after every turn is lame. They shouldn't have removed that. But there's also a story mode which is just playing on the maps alone, so it's kind of sad, but it's a thought that counts. Can't say the same for the sequel though. Anyways, the last game I remember is Super Mario Galaxy 2, I don't remember exactly how we got this game, but it had to be around 2010, 2011. I just remember my dad came home with this game in hand and me and my brother were hyped to hell and back because, you know, Mario. We didn't care about the 2 in the cover, it just Mario and Yoshi. That was a big selling point for my brother, huge Yoshi guy. But, you know, at first I was confused why I grabbed the sequel and not the first game, but you know, that doesn't matter because this game ended up being our favorite Mario game. Hell, it's one of our favorite games of all time. Me and my brother just liked everything about this game. The levels, the music, how it looked, the power-ups. Okay, maybe not that one. And sure, the 2-player mode was more like 1.5 players, but does that really matter when we're still having a blast with this game? We constantly swap control, replay levels over and over again. It was just a great time. I can't stress that enough. And we really got a lot of mileage out of this game. Maybe in the future I'll make a standalone video on this game, but for now I'm happy with just leaving things as is. Anywho, there's a lot more to go over, like how we would often visit friends' house to play their Wii games, how I accidentally ended up stealing a friend's Wii remotes and their copy of Ball for the longest time, but I want to dedicate the rest of my part to one aspect of the Wii, the modding community. Or just the mods in general, because the community is, there's a lot to go over. I'm sure the rest of the video will only drive this point further, but the Wii has to be one of the most hackable consoles out there. It's no secret that other older consoles are way easier to mod, and if they sold extremely well, then the floodgates are wide open. There's already the 3DS, but the Wii is like, dude, there's just a lot to go over when it comes to it. Like, you can obviously emulate the oodles of mods for games that the system has to offer. Hell, I even made a video about the fan-made service that revived online multiplayer for a bunch of Wii and DS games. And since that video, there's been another service that's popped up, and it's making some pretty decent progress, so, you know, that's great. And that brings me to the last point of this entire section, Wii Link. Now I have quite the history with this service, and it goes as far back as 2017. You see, while I had that trusty like early model Wii of mine back then, I didn't really get into modding until like 2017, that year. And it was already modded years ago, but being a kid, I didn't really know what to do with it except for trying to use the disc that had various games burnt onto it in a disc channel. Of course, that didn't go very far. But whatever, going back to Wii Link, I was just kind of sitting on my ass one day in 2017, and I figured out of all the things I could do with my modded Wii, I should like, you know, use the powered random SD card I found lying around, and then after like looking up guides and shit, I discovered Wii Link, or so as it was called back then, Reconnect 24. And as the name implies, this service aims to bring back WeConnect 24, a service that provided a bunch of things like Wii Mail, the Forecast News channel, and a bunch of other things. And when the service was still going, I remember getting glimpses of these channels and thinking they're hot shit, but not much beyond that because I was also very young. Anywho, I discovered this revival service, and it happened to be on the day they were launching their first ever revival channel, the Everybody Votes channel. Granted, it was a very simple channel really. You're given a simple question, 2 options, you vote and or predict the option of your choice, and then you just wait for the results to come in. Again, simple, but it has that Nintendo charm and personality of the era packed into it that I can't really bring myself to say anything bad about it. And you know, basically kickstarted my whole fixation with Wii modding as a whole. I found myself doing a lot more space regarding Nintendo systems, though I often just lurked around because I hate talking in public Discord servers. And I remember checking out the GBA 10 forums for any new apps or news on my phone a lot. It really was a time for me. And nowadays the Wii modding scene is still going pretty strong. You look anywhere and I'm sure there's something going on. And it's crazy with how much things have changed back since those days in 2017. Reconnect 24 eventually came Wii Link, and they've provided a lot more channels since then, and I'm not going over them all because, you know, time, but I do find myself using these channels whenever I'm bored or just for the hell of it. You know, Sunday night Forecast channel hits a lot sometimes. Wii Room quickly became a favorite of mine because I literally just put that shit on the big ass TV when guests are over, and it's great. And aside from Wii Link, Wi-Fi is another one I often still check in. Sure, it's not getting updates anytime soon, and it is quite old, but when it works, it works. Except for that one time when it shut down for several days. Whoop. Anyways, the Wii is still relevant to this day, despite being a piece of hardware in 2006. And if it wasn't for the modding community, I likely wouldn't have a good chunk of my online friend group, and to an extent, this channel maybe. I mean, the channel would still exist, but I highly doubt it would really be the same. It probably would have ended by now. Anyways, my friends in person are still really fond of the Wii. On days we're able to actually meet up, you know, when college isn't a thing, or life in general, we'll usually just fire up the console and play various games together to this day. It's great.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Oh yeah, I was. You might as well stop playing. No, fourth place, take me. It's so Jummer. Yo! I thought the dog had to be facing you.
No.
Fish, what was going on?
I tied with you. I don't want to hear it.
No, yeah, we took like 10 photos and most of them were blanks.
Yeah, because I thought it was just as long as like, you could see the dog.
Are you serious?
Fuck you.
And even though there's lots of story regarding the Wii, or just in general, like how, you know, the modding community can be pretty fucking stupid sometimes, I'm still pretty happy with what I've said here, because, you know, I that's all I can really say in like 10 minutes, I guess. But I do hope this console does keep on giving. Like the 3DS and the DS, I don't think I'd really be the same person without it. Oh, and also, even though I don't like have an actual Wii anymore, I have a Wii U. I still think the virtual Wii inside the Wii U counts because it's kind of the same or almost, whatever, you get the point. And I also forgot to mention the backward compatibility, but you know, it's great. I love Nintendo. Please use Nintendo.
It's truly hard to pick a favorite Wii title to where I couldn't even make a top 10 list without mentioning at least a dozen. But for the next few minutes, I'd like to talk about New Super Mario Bros. Wii. For one, it's a sequel that does everything right, ironing out the tedious parts of the DS entry and adding just the right amount of power-ups and gimmicks to expand the already new formula. The level design is more varied, the music is as catchy as ever, and the return of the Koopa Kids made for an excellent roundup of boss battles that weren't too easy nor difficult for a Mario game. What really takes the cake for me, though, is the post-game. Finding out there were more levels to play after beating Bowser's Castle made me want to replay levels where I missed collectibles to unlock what World 9 had to offer. It was the game that turned me into a completionist player, making me want to replay games I grew up with to say I did everything in them. Seeing those 5 shiny stars on a save file never felt more satisfying, and a game that kept me excited from beginning to end. Whenever I replay it, I use secret exits to get to the tougher worlds first, leaving the easier levels for me to play at my own leisure. I didn't even mention the multiplayer experiences to be had, but for some people that can be a blessing or a curse, depending on if you like 4 people recklessly throwing each other around. Overall, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is one of my favorite Wii games and easily my favorite 2D Mario title. Its variety and what it brought to the table made for one of the best platformers on the console to play through solo or with friends of choice. Whether you're collecting all the star coins and hunting down every secret exit, or speedrunning to conquer the Koopa King, you're in for a great time picking up this red box classic. And I do say that because this came in a nice red box. I'm not sure if there were other Wii games that did that.
I can play my classic controller, but how?
That worked. Jeebus, that was some cheap plastic.
It's over.
Yeah, but I can't help but feel like we're forgetting something important. Oh yeah. Where are we going?
So...
I knew you'd make it.
How are you even alive?
Who cares about any of that? It's their turn to ramble about the Wii.
Can you give us a bit?
Well...
Hey, you give us more time because I'm freaking dying.
So, the Wii. It's definitely one of the more recent consoles that I've been growing up with. Though I do have some nostalgia, I was even playing it. But that's mostly due to the fact I watched gameplay videos of that one fucking Thomas Wii game and when I was in a single digits. And not to mention Pocoyo Racing. Also, you might be wondering, but Twits, why are you not playing the Wii when you're in the single digits? Well, let's just say, we had trouble. Anyways, I've been playing weird ass random titles on this thing for like, what, 3 years now? Although it's mostly the popular stuff. I guess I'll say my earliest memory of the Wii excluding that messy mumbo jumbo. This is when I got set probably. I was like, whoa. I then proceeded to explore what fancy shit the system had. Apparently there's the Armor channel and USB lower GX, but my mind wasn't familiar with what Armoring was at the time. Apparently my dad modded in 2014, though with a video guide. I don't know what exploit was used. As for the games, I only had Just Dance 2 and Despicable Me. I never really played Just Dance 2 because I'm not a fan of dancing at all. Though one time I pretended to play Just Dance 2 on a voice call, so I just only played Despicable Me, and that was the only Wii game I played for a while. I didn't have no Wii Sports, no Mario Kart Wii, none of that. That was until a few months later. I did manage to beat Despicable Me on the Wii, but then after that, my Wii just kind of fell dormant. I did manage to remod it before beating it though. I first installed Recon 24, now known as WeLink. I used the Everybody Votes channel because seeing different polls and what everybody voted for just sounded very interesting. I also used Checkmail channel, but mainly to judge people's me's. Barely even touched the Nintendo channel, news, forecast channels, and Wemail. Man, Wemail. Back in my day, a certain green goblin sent me a ton of mail that was memes and they were all done with the WeSpeak channel. Finally, I updated all my homebrew apps, making sure I got the latest shit, and essentially the Wii was fully modded. Anyway, as I said, the Wii was going to become dormant for a long time, or so I thought, because later I discovered that Virtual Console was a thing. Basically, it allowed you to play older video games onto this console. Obviously, we could just use the Nintendo Switch version, also known as the Switch Online Expansion Pack or something, I don't know. But I did have a Switch at the time. Now, yes, I could just install Homebrew Fan Emulous on my Wii looking back at it, but I didn't think about it at the time. Anyway, once I knew Virtual Console existed, I knew I had to try shit out. And from there, I was able to experience so many titles like the classic Super Mario Bros. For the NES, Sonic the Hedgehog for Genesis, and so much more. Except, I was only limited to Sonic 1 and NES titles. I didn't have a classic controller, nor did I even know what a classic controller was. So because of that, I was mostly just playing Super Mario Bros. And Donkey Kong to keep me busy. Until May of 2022. No, actually, April. I learned that Nintendo was a thing, and it allowed you to play GameCube games without the need for a GameCube controller, and I thought, perfect. From there, I experienced the original Animal Crossing. However, I also did get to experience some GameCube games following that. The Butch No More E Plus with the fan translation, Smash Melee, Mario Kart Arcade GPs 1 and 2, although that's the Triforce, Sonic Mega Collection, Mario Kart Double Dash, and Pac-Man World 2. And then May arrived. Yeah. Mario Kart Wii. I had fun with this game. I was racing with CPUs for a while until I entered the world of online play, Gamify. I was racing against combative people for a while, but now it's just game nights with a certain Discord server. Oh yeah, actually I got one of my brothers to play it with me at one point, including Wii Sports, since you know he has a Wii, except it's mine now since he doesn't use it anymore. I even showed him games that he hadn't played in decades. And speaking of Wii Sports, what can I say? No doubt, Wii Sports was a ton of fun. Bowling, boxing, baseball, yeah. I actually got my sister to play Wii Sports with me during the summer of 2022, if I remember correctly. And then... what? Yeah, so apparently in June or something, the motion controls on my first Wii remote broke, and it has been acting up ever since. It happened shortly after I was trying to do capture card testing, but thankfully I had another Wii remote. By the way, have I ever mentioned that Thomas Wii game? Apparently, I first played it on Dolphin, and the speed was so ass because old ass laptop. I did manage to play it on my actual Wii, except it was PAL 50 only. So I meant stretches as a picture, and depending on my TV, black and white colors. I will say I did manage to find a workaround, but not via a USB loader. What was it, you may be asking? My VCR. What? Well, I'm not explaining all this, so fuck you. Anyway, after the last day of school of 2022, I got to play Animal Crossing City Folk. This was also another Animal Crossing game I played a lot alongside population growing, until October when a thing happened and I somehow erased the original save and not a different save. But eventually I got so burned out that I just stopped playing Animal Crossing. Oh, and also I managed to try out the Super Mario All-Stars port and Angry Birds trilogy. Then, in September of 2022, I got the classic controller. I was finally able to play Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 titles from the Virtual Console library. Funny enough, I actually borrowed one from one of my teachers prior, Shadow Wii, so... And speaking of that, I managed to play the Wii a good amount of times in school. I only ever played Mario Party 8 and Wii Sports on that thing, but we still had a good time. Anyway, I learned that Uno was on the Wii during August of 2022. I managed to win some rounds against boss, but I also got my sister to play at 1.2. Nowadays, it's just being used to use the online feature.
What? He's not real. He's not a real person.
And then in September, I got to play what might be one of my favorite franchises of all time, Ace Attorney. Of course, I started with the original Phoenix Wright trilogy, and I had fun for a while. Until I got up to the third, because I never touched it again because I was dealing with the immune and I didn't like that. But then in January of the following year, I managed to literally fucking grind through the 3 games in the span of 4 fucking months. I was addicted, and at one point I managed to reach 8 hours when playing Trials and Tribulations. In May, one of my friends gave me 4 Wii games from the keep. These being Super Mario Galaxy and the sequel Just As For It, and Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Ooh, Mario Galaxy. I know I already played this previously in 3D All-Stars, but I never played it through that, and I just got lost. But playing it on the Wii, I felt like I knew what I had to do, and from there, I was able to progress. Dude, I remember I raged at a Daredevil combat level so bad. It was literally hard, but with enough perseverance, I managed to make it. Mario and Sonic, only played it once. Sports games are not my type besides Rocket League. I never touched Just Dance 4. A few days later, I got New Super Mario Bros. Wii for my birthday. I thought it was a decent experience, and well, I never got to try the multiplayer features. I didn't manage to beat it. Not World 9, unfortunately. There's also a mod, and that shit got me like, whoa. Then in November, I found a hard drive lying around, and decided to buy an enclosure and use it for my Wii. I backed up all my games, and I also managed to experience new games with it. Emblem Kart Racing, plus Penguin Game Day, Fantasy Forever, plus Second Dimension, Super Smash Bros. Ball, all that good stuff. As a person who was a Fantasy Forever fan previously, I knew I should try this shit out. It was actually pretty decent for what could have been a mid-Disney video game. Smash Bros. Was different. For some odd reason, the Wii would crash because the ball was trying to load something from an SD card, and that kind of prevented me from learning the basics. I was only playing it for the laggy online mess, so yeah. Oh yeah, remember Pokemon Racing? Yeah, I managed to quote-unquote re-experience a childhood memory of mine. I was actually able to play with no issues on the hero of the rails. I somehow managed to suck a bit during racing matches. And in mid-December, I got to play what became one of my favorite indie games ever, Cave Story. I actually managed to become hooked somehow. I remember there was a section that I got stuck on and I had to ask for help. I also remember I tried to achieve one of the endings I was going for, but I made a dumb decision earlier and had to restart everything. And then, February of 2024, I got the Wii remote that had Motion Plus built in. I was finally able to play Wii Sports Resort, except Elementary was and never again. And in May, I tried Sonic Close and yeah, it just feels off. Sonic feels stiff to control, like god damn bro. But I also tried Quest for cool stuff. Decent platformer, I'm just say here. And that's all, I guess. But yeah, I play a bunch of weird ass titles for the system, and I do not regret it. It's pretty fun console next to 3DS. I am even surprised I managed to save this thing by just retrying the setting process. Without that console, I probably wouldn't even be here right now.
Ah, the Nintendo Wii. It was my first real game console, as long as you don't count the Leapster. And as such, the Wii holds a special place in my heart for giving me some of my most relaxing experiences in all of gaming, as well as giving me some of my most traumatizing ones. And I think that makes my overall experience with the Wii rather unique, since I was kind of scared of everything as a kid. One of the first games I ever played was Super Mario Galaxy 2. I remember really enjoying the presentation of the intro, but not being able to make it past it because I was too scared of Giant Bowser. Eventually, I was able to get past him by not looking up at him, but man, I was scared of him. I guess it's a good thing I didn't get the chance to play Galaxy 1 until I was much older. Anyways, once I was able to get past that rough start, I found some of my favorite experiences in gaming to this day, and found levels I could spend all day relaxing in, like spending hours swimming peacefully in the waters of Cosmic Cove, or exploring the beaches of Starshine Beach. Starship Mario was also a great place to relax or mess around in, so this game had no shortages of places for me to enjoy. Of course, I also enjoy Galaxy 2 for more than just a couple of levels. I think Nintendo was really able to capitalize off of their experience from the first game, and made some solid and challenging levels in the later parts of the game that I still revisit to this day because of their difficulty and fun. Surprisingly, I was able to get all the way to Grandmaster Galaxy as a kid. I even started the Green Star challenges. But unfortunately, I ran into the canon event of every older brother and had my save file accidentally deleted by my youngest brother. Twice. Leaving me, well, not in the best mind state. Despite that, I had an overall excellent experience with the Galaxy series, and just had to conquer my fears from the start of the game to experience greatness. That sounds easy enough, I'm sure, but there was one other game I wasn't able to get past nearly as easily.
Animal Crossing!
Yes, the Wii game specifically designed for relaxing and doing nothing was the game I probably received the most anxiety from. And if you know about Rossetti, could you really blame me? While this game doesn't have the most traumatizing version of his theme, young me, for the life of him, could not escape him. I could hardly read, much less type, so when I encountered him, I would just keep resetting hoping for something to change, and we even resorted to trying to play on my mom's file just so we didn't have to deal with him. That said, most of my experience with City Folk came from watching my siblings, since I didn't really want to play it anymore, and from what glimpses I did get of it, I thought it looked rather boring. Despite my initial impressions with the series, I ended up getting instantly hooked on its sequel, New Leaf. I thought that after experiencing New Leaf, there was no way I could go back to City Folk. Yet, here I am in 2025, still playing it. I guess something about not having any major Mariel responsibilities and just being able to relax really speaks to me now. And with the deluxe mod, there's even more content and events to enjoy than ever before, so I may have only been able to get into the game recently. I think the wait was well worth it in the end. Despite how scared I was of everything, there were still a few games I didn't have any problems with. At least, no problems other than ruining my friendships. One of those games being Mario Party 8. 8 remains as one of my favorite Mario parties for no real good reason, other than Koopa's Tycoon Town. And no, I will not be respecting any disagreements. I'm definitely way too nostalgic for the motion control minigames, but I also really remember enjoying the boards. My favorite besides the aforementioned Monopoly board was Shy Guys Express, as I got really good at memorizing what NPCs were in which car for like the one space it mattered for. I also really liked how the power-ups were candies and that the announcer looked really weird. Another fun for the family game of mine was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. This one was probably one of my favorite games to play with family because even my dad would join in on the fun. Us youngins weren't the best at the game, so having a near unlimited supply of power-ups was also a very appreciated feature that I wish they had in the newer games. I don't remember too much specific about playing the game back then, but it was always a good time, and one I like to revisit every now and then. I would also like to argue that Mario Kart Wii falls into the same vein for me. Always great time, but nothing that really sticks out too much in my memory. Now, a somewhat different kart racer I wanted to point out for the Wii was Cars 2. Cars 2 was an interesting take on a racing game, because instead of green shells, you had miniguns. Instead of blue shells, you had orbital lasers that would obliterate the environment. This was also a fun game to hang out and shoot each other in multiplayer mode. 1v1s in battle mode remind me so much of playing a 1v1 on Nuketown and Black Ops 2 for some reason. So that was always fun, I guess. How have I gone this far without so much as mentioning Woohoo Island? Wii Sports Resort is one of my favorite Wii games simply because of how much character they gave that island. Wanna go bowling? There's a physical spot for that. Sword fighting? A whole ring. Golfing? An entire island. And tennis? Well, it's there, but you can't play it. But you get the point. Island Flyover was there to bring it all together. And all of that without even mentioning the other 20 or so game modes. Nintendo Switch Sports. Resort was excellently well cooked, and I wish we got to see the island it took place on a little closer. There's a guy putting together a website that'll let you freely explore the island. Freely. So hopefully that turns out well. That was a lot of positivity. So how about a little bit less of that? Other than the entirety of Twilight Princess, which I love, another game that always gave me some very weird vibes was World of Goo. If you're unfamiliar, World of Goo is essentially that bridge building project you had to do in middle school with little balls of goo traveling on its frame to a distant pipe in order to make an elaborate attempt at a poop joke. It's a weird but oftentimes satisfying game that somehow got a sequel I have yet to try out, so perhaps I'll have to throw that on my games to playlist. And for my last bit of childhood trauma dumping, I would like to introduce you to SpongeBob Truth or Square. This was the last game I remember my dad helping me out with, as the absolute noob I was, before he ended up passing away. But that's actually not what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about is this idle animation here. This freaked me out as a kid. Rip SpongeBob. So that was my last bit of trauma. But there is one last game I want to talk about that might surprise you to hear that it's not on my list of traumas list. Super Paper Mario. If you know this game's story, you may be baffled to hear I wasn't scared by it. And the reason for that is because of how freaking annoyed I got by this game. You may be familiar with how this game loves to waste your time. Level 1-3, where once you get to the end of the level, you have to backtrack and jump 10 times under a tree to go get a hint and come back to the end and do the thing the hint said. Level 2-3, where the plot demands you have to break a vase and grind for 18 hours unless you're a cheater. And level 5-1, where you have to walk all the way to the end, back to the start, back to the end, and back to the start again, just to get a 20-ish step code that you need to write down, lest you forget it. And I got stuck on each of those parts for months on end. That said, looking back, it was pretty funny, which I think is what they were going for, so success, I guess? Despite how much I just played up my hate for the game, Super Paper Mario is one of my favorite video games, or pieces of media in general, because of its characters, its themes and understandings about sacrifice, and most importantly, its story. I could talk on and on and on about Super or many other of the games on this list, but I think it's about time for me to hand it off. Overall, the Wii was a console that provided me many challenges that I had to overcome, but in the end, I was able to find plenty of beauty in those experiences, and the things that once scared me, and most importantly, I found a good place to rest.
Hey yo, Gabubu here, and this is me. This is my story time about my whole Wii experience. So let's get started, I guess. Back then in 2017, at the start of September, where I was with my father at a marketplace where we found people selling used devices for pretty cheap prices, and we came around finding the Wii and the GameCube, and I was asking my dad, can I just buy the Wii please? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? We started to talk with the seller, and he started to ask us to pay like 200 RON, that would be like 40 euro, and since we were in a very bad situation, like my father was about to die soon, he tried to talk with the seller and get a better deal, and then the seller decided to just sell the console for just 100 RON. That will be half of it, like 20 euros. So everything is good. We just bought a Wii, we went home, I just plugged it in, and what happened is that I found British channels like BBC iPlayer. Oh my god, there are so many British channels on the Wii, and I was like, yeah, I don't care about them. Let me just connect to the internet. We just connected the Wii, called my brother's friends to play some demo games, and then once they left, all I had to do was grab the USB drive, get the SD card, and start using Tech James YouTube tutorials. Back then, there were so many funny videos. I mean, that were the only video I trusted most back then, and I had no idea about online and written guides. So I just used the Tech James YouTube tutorials to install them, and it was pretty alright. Like, I had no issues. I just installed using the Blue Bomb exploit. Which basically you get the files on the SD card. Once you plug the SD card, you go to the Wii message. You get a mail where this is where the exploit starts to begin and starts loading the HackMe installer. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just installed it and it was working properly. 2 years later, Reconnect 24 just been launched, and that was something that I tried out, of course. At the same time, in the same year, I also found the Opus Shop channel, which is like the homebrew app store for homebrew apps and games made by the community, of course. I just tried that out as well, and it was pretty cool though. I liked it, to be honest. So that I even managed to make the Opus Shop channel WAD, which is a folder which basically redirects to the homebrew browser. And here the problem started if you watch like right now on the screen, you notice that this is the first version of the Oppo Shop channel I've made. It was completely based off the Wii Shop channel one, and trust me, that was a pain in the ass because there was no text, the background was so fucked up, there were so many outlines which it wasn't supposed to be there, and I had to dig around and find many fixes that I even managed to get a version 4 if I say correctly. Maybe the editor can just edit this, thank you so much. But with the latest version, yeah, I just updated and made it to work properly. After that, since I found the passion of making more for the WADs, I started to launch my campaign. Can I say campaign for this? I mean, it's a non-profit project, so yeah, nobody's paying for me. I'm just doing it by myself. It's about Gabubu WADs. WADs by Gabubu. I started to make custom WADs. I learned how to use the official programs in order to make custom WADs, and oh yeah. Now let's talk about the wheeling, because that was the most interesting part. So they released it in 2019. They just started with releasing the Japanese channels for the Wii. I also found it pretty cool to install them, and what's even better is that 2024, 2025, I'm guessing 2024, they somehow merged with Reconnect 24. So yeah, I'm guessing this is pretty much it. So the last question I gonna ask, but to myself of course, is do I still use the Wii in 2025? And the answer is yes, I'm still using it. Even I found more cool project to test it out, and since I also got a GameCube controller, I can play GameCube games on the Wii. So I'm guessing that's pretty much it about me. All I can say is consider subscribing to Gemsticks.
Now what?
I don't know, I didn't plan this far ahead.
What do you think was going to happen?
Well...
Credits! Get out of here!
Enough with the voids, man. Wasn't one enough?
Looks great, doesn't it? Those were the days. You know, all I wanted was best for you, you know? Days where it was just simpler, you could just sit back, relax, play some good old Wii Sports. Yeah, those were the days. Come on, don't lie to me, buddy. I know you want it. Go ahead, power our nostalgia.
He almost got to you.
I couldn't, well...
Hey, it's okay.
Alright, what do we do? Man, I love you.
Same. Right, we have to go faster.
Lean!
You really think you can beat me?
Classic controller.
I should have written my will.
What a cute joke! 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 After last time, I'm not gonna go down so easily!
What are you doing?
We need to combine our weapons.
But why?
Just do it.
But they're just...
Combine the goddamn toys!
Why in the Voltron?
Hey,
you guys do that. I'm gonna go enjoy me some 11 hours of sleep.
On rock?
Well, that's that.
I'm just glad it's finally all over. I can finally say things without getting cut